Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Temperatures over the next 10 days, we're going to have a battleground setting up between warmer air across the southeast and the east, with cooler air off to the north across the northern plains and the upper Midwest, stretching back into western Canada. That sets the stage for an active storm track with storm systems developing along that temperature gradient, tracking from the central plains into the northeast region. Now, as we take a look at how things look early on this Tuesday morning, we do have an area of low pressure, a little trough making its way across the eastern third of the country. That is leading to some wintry precipitation across parts of the northeast region. We do have snow spreading into parts of southern Pennsylvania this morning. And as we look at the last 7 days of precipitation, it has continued to be this corridor here across the southern U.S. into the southeast, the mid-Atlantic, that's been very active over the last week and will be continuing to be very active over the next 1 to 2 weeks. Now, as we take a look at the frontal picture, I'm going to take you through day by day, talk about what to expect each day, and then we'll talk about why all of this is happening. As we get started here on Tuesday, looking for some wintry precipitation, some accumulating snow across parts of southern Pennsylvania into New Jersey. Could also see some lake effect snow across parts of western and northern New York into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine as we head into the late part of the day and tomorrow morning. As we look at this would be Wednesday, talking about some light snow across northern portions of the northeast region here, again across New York, across Vermont, New Hampshire, into Maine. As we get into Thursday, we'll be quiet across the northeast region. This is when things start ramping up across the central U.S., but with high pressure off to the north, we'll see a cool north wind bringing in chillier temperatures, but quiet conditions for the day on Thursday. As we get into Friday, that storm system, that first wave begins to lift into the northeast. Start to see rain overspreading the area, some snow possible across the far north. And then the next wave, the next stronger area of low pressure begins to move into the Ohio River Valley as we get into Saturday. That's really going to increase southerly flow. We'll see a lot of warm air lifting off to the north, and that is going to keep things all rain for the day on Saturday across the northeast region. As the main area of low pressure, the backside here comes swinging through. As we get into Sunday, with high pressure off to the north, that's when we could start bringing in some colder air and start lowering the freezing line, pushing that further off to the south and transitioning some of this over to snow. Now, we have some big differences between the GFS and the European model by the time we get to this time frame, Sunday into Monday. Good agreement with Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're very confident this storm system is going to exist. We're very confident it's going to bring disruptive weather conditions to parts of the United States, but the timing and the significance of those impacts, the location of the snow, the location of the freezing rain, question marks surrounding that. So we're just kind of letting you know, well in advance, we do have a big storm system that's going to be making its way in as we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Stay tuned with our forecasts here for those specific impacts. Total precipitation over the next week. So taking it through Tuesday morning, again, the corridor, the very heaviest rain expected across the mid-south, parts of the Ohio River Valley here, 3 to 5 inches, locally higher amounts possible with this storm system. Again, a lot of heavy rain coming through that region here Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, and then still expecting anywhere from 1 to 3 inches with locally higher amounts here across the northeast region. Some of that on the north end likely going to be falling in the form of some snow. So now we can dive in, we can talk about some of the timing here and the reasons that we're seeing all of this. First, starting with the high-resolution NAM model and watching that first little wave making its way through, watching that snow, perhaps starting as rain across parts of southern Pennsylvania into central New Jersey, but then changing over to snow on the backside here Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening. Getting into the overnight, this thing begins to get off the Atlantic coast. That's when we start talking about cooler winds coming in across the lakes. This next wave of low pressure off to the north, that brings the chance for some patchy lake effect snow, some snow showers as we head through the day on Wednesday. Those should begin to wane and taper off into Wednesday night. And then again, expecting a quiet Thursday as the next bigger storm system begins to organize off to our west. Total snow accumulation expected through Friday morning, so this really just covering that first wave here off to the south. Expecting anywhere from 3 to 5 with higher amounts possible in the high elevations here of parts of West Virginia. But as we talk about southern Pennsylvania into central New Jersey, talking about 1 to 3 inches of snow with maybe a locally higher 4-inch amount. Then as we look at the lake effect snow impacts here, talking about again 1 to 3, maybe locally higher here as we talk about the snow getting into the late part of tonight and during the day on Wednesday. Now, looking at the upper levels, talking about what is driving all of this, we can pick out a couple of things. First, we see the first trough making its way through and getting out of here with a strong core of the very strong upper level jet stream winds, bringing in a wave of cooler air as we head into the late part of the week. As we get into Thursday and Friday, now we're seeing that pattern change. We're seeing the big ridge develop off to the west with the trough to the east. That, of course, brings in a lot of warm air to the eastern third of the country. That also sets up the battleground here for very heavy precipitation across this region. As we take a look at the surface response, looking at surface winds, we'll bring it back here to Tuesday. Again, quiet as we head through the end of Wednesday into Thursday. Here are those winds coming in off the lake as we go through the day on Wednesday into Wednesday night. Quieting down for the day on Thursday. Calm winds, quiet conditions expected. But then as we get into Thursday and Friday, we start to see that next storm system beginning to develop across the central plains into the Ohio River Valley. Strong southerly flow. In advance of that, we will see strong southerly winds bringing in those warmer temperatures, and that's what's going to keep this being a primarily rain event across much of the Northeast region. The surface response as we talk about moisture. Again, we start the week with a very dry air mass in place, even getting a reinforcing shot of drier air as we head into the Wednesday-Thursday timeframe. That is that cooler push of air that creates some lake effect snow as we head through Wednesday into Wednesday night. As we get into Thursday, though, again, the jet stream doing something like this, seeing that trough digging across the Four Corners region across the southwest. The surface response there, we begin to develop an area of low pressure across the southern and central plains, and we intensify that area of low pressure, bringing in strong southerly flow across the Gulf of Mexico, drawing that moisture northward, first into the Ohio River Valley, the mid-south parts of the Gulf Coast, really drawing a lot of moisture northward as we get into the Friday and Saturday time frame, and then starting to lift that into the northeast region as we get into Friday and Saturday as well. We'll also be setting up a strong temperature gradient as this area of low pressure begins to develop, drawing a lot of moisture up and over the top of that. Again, where that freezing line ends up, that is going to dictate the track of the heaviest snow here, anywhere from the Midwest into the Northeast region. As we get into Sunday, that would be when we'd be talking about more in the way of snow across the Northeast. Watching that area of cooler temperatures sliding off to the south as we head through the weekend, but then we kind of reset things. We start drawing warmer air back to the north in response to perhaps another wave of low pressure as we get into early to mid next week. So cooler air does come in on the backside of this storm system here Sunday into Monday, but not talking about any kind of rush towards a extended cold air outbreak. Now, I mentioned that we have some differences as we get into the end of the week. Good agreement as we head through the next 3 to 4 days, I would say. Talking about this opportunity for some light snow. Good agreement here as we head through the next 36 hours with a quiet Thursday across the Northeast region. Getting into Friday now, midday on Friday, good agreement here, rain beginning to overspread the Ohio River Valley, getting into maybe western portions of the Northeast region with some snow possible far off to the north end here across parts of Maine. By the time we get into Saturday, enough warm air drawn northward that everyone in the Northeast region should be seeing liquid rain falling, that cold air keeping the snow well off to the north. As we get into the day on Sunday, though, that's when we see the main area of low pressure beginning to sweep through the region, and this is where we have some differences. The European model on the left wants to be a little slower, a little more intense with that area of low pressure, keeping things a little bit further off to the west. As we get into this would be midnight Sunday, the GFS with the area of low pressure already into the northeast region across parts of eastern New York, with the European model keeping it a little bit further off to the west. As we get into this would be sunrise on Sunday now, 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. The GFS model over on the right has this thing more or less getting out of the region, while the European, again, stronger and further back to the west, which is common. If we're going to see a stronger storm system, it is going to lag further to the west. That's just how these things work. And so, again, with the European model with the stronger and further to the west solution, seeing some wintry precipitation across the northeast region, across northern New York, parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine as we head through Sunday morning. Now, continuing to take this out here, getting into sunset on Sunday, getting into around 6 p.m., or this would be midday on Sunday at noon is when this loop ends. Again, in the European model, keeping precipitation across the northern half of the Northeast region, while the GFS has this storm system well out of here. So question marks, but good agreement on the storm system existing. The question marks with the intensity and the timing there on how this thing is going to evolve and where the wintry weather impacts are going to be felt. Once again, looking at the total precipitation expected out of this thing, looking at 1 to 3 inches of liquid precipitation across the Northeast region. High temperatures, this will close us out anywhere from the lower 20s to the mid 30s to a near 40 degrees for the day today. A cooler push of air for the day on Wednesday. That cooler air still across the Northeast region as we get into Thursday, but already look at the rapid warming across parts of the Midwest. That gets into the Northeast region on Friday with high temperatures anywhere from the mid 30s. Across parts of Maine to the lower 50s across parts of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Warmer still for the day on Saturday. Again, it will be breezy and it will likely be rainy, but high temperatures in the 60s across Pennsylvania, across parts of New Jersey, maybe as far north as parts of southern New York, maybe as far north as parts of Massachusetts as well. Looking at our overnight lows for the next few days, chilly tonight. Low temperatures in the single digits across Maine to the upper 20s across parts of southern Pennsylvania, where we could see some of that light snow falling. Colder on the backside of this storm system here, with overnight lows below 0 across the north to the upper teens to near 20 degrees across the south. On Friday, the cold air remains, but warming up as we get into Saturday morning. High temperatures, or low temperatures, I should say, on Friday night into Saturday morning, above freezing for just about everyone except the far north. Now, as always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video. He'll be talking about updates with this weekend storm system, and then I will check back in once again on Friday morning. We'll talk about the upcoming impacts for that winter storm as well. Hope you have a wonderful day and you're getting back into the flow of things after the holiday season.